जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवराधारी जय गिरिवराधारी जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यशोदानन्दना जय जय यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र श्री राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शना। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय श्री श्री गौरनिताय। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रील प्रभुपदा। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शताश्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन्स ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन बीवीटी संस्थापकाचार्य इस डिवाइन्स ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शताश्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज भूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मधुरापुरी धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र पुरुषोत्तम धाम की जय। गंगामय की जय। यमुनामय की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। गोलोकेर प्रेमदन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the Vaishnavas to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, text number 11. The title, The Activities of King Bharata, the last verse of this particular chapter. Paro rajassa viturjata vedho Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishyataste Hamsam Gridhanam Risadringiramiha Paro rajassa viturjata vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishyataste Hamsam Gridhanam Rishadringigram Iha Paro rajassa viturjata vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishya Chaste Hamsam Gridhanam Drishadringiram Iha. Any devotees? Paro Rajasa Viturjata Vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishya Chaste Hamsam Gridranam Rishadringiramiha. We'll Sadringiramiha. Paro Rajasa Viturjata Vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Word to word and translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki word to word meaning. Parahrajaha, beyond the mode of passion, situated in the pure mode of goodness. Savitu, of the one who illuminates the whole universe. Jata Vedaha, from which all the devotees' desires are fulfilled. Devasya, of the Lord. Bhargaha, the self-effulgent. Manasa, simply by contemplating. Idam, this universe. Jajana, created. Suretasa, by spiritual potency. Adaha, this created world. Punaha, again. Avishya, entering. Chaste, sees or maintains. Hamsam, the living entity. Gridhanam, desiring for material enjoyment. Rishat, to the intelligence. Ringiram, to one who gives motion. Imaha, let me offer my obeisances. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness. He illuminates the entire universe and bestows all benediction upon His devotees. The Lord has created this universe from His own spiritual potency. According to His desire, the Lord entered this universe as the super soul, and by virtue of His different potencies, He is maintaining all living entities desiring material enjoyment. Let me offer my respectable obeisances unto the Lord, who is the giver of intelligence. Purport: the predominating deity of the sun is another expansion of Narayana, who is illuminating the entire universe. The Lord enters the hearts of all living entities as the super soul, and He gives them intelligence and fulfill their material desires. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasvachaham hridi sannivishtaha. I am sitting in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, text number 15. As the super soul, the Lord enters the hearts of all living entities, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.35. Andantarastha paramanuchayantarastam. He enters the universe and the atom as well. In the Rig Veda, the predominant deity of the sun is worshipped by this mantra. Devasya Dheyas sada savitrumandala madhyavarti Narayana sarasijasana sannivishtaha. Narayana sits on his lotus flower within the sun. By reciting this mantra, every living entity should take shelter of Narayana just as the sun rises. According to modern scientists, the material will rest on the sun's effulgence. Due to the sunshine, all planets are rotating and vegetables are growing. We also have information that the moonshine helps vegetables and herbs to grow. Actually, Narayan within the sun is maintaining the entire universe. Therefore, Narayan should be worshipped by the Gayatri mantra or the Rig mantra. Thus, the end of the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of the 5th canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of King Bharata. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today I'm just little bit feeling nervous just because of all of the devotees here. I could able to relate with them, but two are my teachers are sitting here, especially His Grace Shivadana Prabhu and His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu, those who are from the background of the teaching very nicely. So they have to just please guide me and how this student and this child has to speak nicely so that Father will correct me at the end. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, and the text number 11, which is the concluding of this chapter, Activities of King Bharata. You know, King Bharata, being a king, he performed very nicely ruling the kingdom, and also along with that, he worshipped many sacrifices. Apparently looks like a karmakandi, but nevertheless, we heard from the 11th and 12th verse of this particular chapter what was his consciousness behind the activity which he is performing. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati tadaham bhakti apurtam. So Krishna is asking neither patram pushpam phalam toyam. He is not seeing what we are offering, rather with what consciousness we are offering it to the Lord. So that is fundamental principle behind offering anything to Krishna. Even Bharata Maharaj showed very perfectly. He said that I am not the performer because Krishna is a performer and Krishna is the enjoyer. Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam jnatmam shanti murchati. So Krishna is Bhokta. Krishna is everything. So he is a performer. I am not doing. In fact, externally also I am not performing because the priest is performing. Just I am sitting and I am giving the ahuti. That's all. And by doing that also, I'm not enjoying anything, I'm not expecting anything materially, neither even anything else. Rather, performing such activity, if it is related to the karma kanda, then how? Further slokas describes about in this 12th verse. Bharat Maharaj is developing his devotional service day by day, it is increasing. It is becoming thicker and thicker and thicker. If karma kanda, it is like a material activity, the worshipping of the sacrifices, the Lord, if it is a material activity, can material activity gives us the devotional service or any bhakti? No. Karma kanda will never give bhakti. Karma kanda never gives rise to bhakti. Only bhakti gives rise to the bhakti. So he is doing that activity, being a kshatriya, being ruling the kingdom as a king. He is doing his prescribed duty in a devotional perspective. That's how it has arised bhakti in his life and is becoming so thicker and thicker. And we can see again the 12th verse, he is getting a lot of symptoms, the ecstatic symptoms he is exhibiting. So that's how this is transferring into the 13th chapter. So the Acharya says that symptoms of his performing pure devotional service as becoming stumbling blocks in practicing bhakti. So that is a link where this 13th and 14th, he had taken up, okay, let me do my sadhana. Not to be allured by the external symptoms, which are purely devotional symptoms like Ashtasatvika Vikara, his body is trembling, he's shedding tears, he's loudly chanting. As we can also see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila chapter 7, from verse 70 onwards, it describes when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is traveling to Vrindavan via Varanasi. So there also, when he met with the sannyasis, the Shankarites, so they will also ask the same question. Prakashananda Saraswati, he asks, what are you doing? You are a sannyasi, and I heard that you are the disciple of Keshav Bharati, and you are belongs to our Shankara Sampradaya. So what is this? You should, actually the sannyasi, the soul and substance of the sannyasa is to read the Vedanta Sutra. You are not doing anything with us, neither you are sitting with us, not you are just coming closer to us, you are just going, you are neglecting us. So what are all these things? So there we can able to see how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is getting symptoms. That's what the symptoms has been agitated them. And they're asking, what is this? Like a phonetic, Sankirtan fanaticism. You are just chanting loudly and dancing and everything on the streets. So similarly, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally, just recent years, 500 years back, how he showed us. Similarly, Bharata Maharaj also showed the same thing. When the bodily symptoms are coming up, the activities which he was doing is performing penances, austerities, tapasya, and he is doing his prescribed sadhana. So that's what I derived from this verse, because mainly it speaks about the Surya Bhagavan, Surya Narayana. Apparently just only mentioned as the sun, but he is describing about the sun god. And who is that? He is Surya Narayana only. Then how he is sitting, where he is sitting, what are his bodily limbs and symptoms, we will see in the purport, which says in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, 21st verse. It speaks about Adityanam aham Vishnur Jyotisham Ravir Amshuman Marichir Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam aham Shashi. So even everything, Krishna says that everything is emanating from me. So the effulgence, the dazzling effulgence of the sun also, in Brahma Samhita chapter 5 text number 40, it describes about it is the reflection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti koti swasesha vasudhadhi vibhuti bhinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam asesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The origin of the unlimited Brahman effulgence, because everything is dazzling, very effulgently it's coming. If that's the sun is, the dazzling effulgence is the sun, that is I am. And the Seshi, that is moon, it's I am. As in the purport, Prabhupada is very nicely elaborated. The moon will gives the energies to the vegetables. Jai Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaunitai ki Jai. So he's speaking about that the moon is giving the cooling, and it gives vegetable to grow and the herbs to grow. So but Krishna is telling, if I come this Brahma Samhita, that dazzling effulgence is coming from me. The origin of that unlimited Brahman effulgence is the transcendental body of Govinda, who is offered respectful obeisances as the original and the supreme personality of Godhead. Here Bharata Maharaj also, at the end of the purport, he described, thus I am paying my obeisances unto that supreme personality of Godhead in the form of Surya Narayana. Again, same in the purport, Srila Prabhupada written that there is another mantra. Actually, this 14th verse describes about, in 13th verse, he is describing about that I am doing such an activities. So it is stated in the Rug mantra, I am praying it. The one mantra which is what we currently describe in this 14th verse is the Rug mantra. It is not exactly this connectivity of this Bhagavatam shloka. It is a Rug mantra. And Prabhupada in the purport also mentioned another mantra also one can able to meditate on the Lord Surya Narayana. That's what, as the sun is rising in the early morning. I think the same thing. Om Dheya Sada Savitru Mandala Madhyavarti Narayana Sarasejasana Sannivishtaha Keyuravana Kanaka Kundalavana Kiriti Harir Hiranmaya Varput Bhrutuk Chanka Chakraha. So how this dazzling effulgence of that sun, the sun god, Hiranmaya, what is this? Harir Hiranmaya Patrana, the dazzling effulgence. How he is looking, that Vapu, Vani and Vapu. Vapu means his body, how the body is looking like, what form he is paying obeisances and what form he is worshipping, described in this particular verse, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned. What is? He wears that Keyur amulets. The Lord also, Vrindavan Chandra also wears that amulets. So that is called as Keyur amulets. And Kanaka Kundala, the golden earrings he is to wear. And he's having the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma in his four-handed forms. And where he is sitting? And the lotus flower. And the lotus flower that Narayana is sitting. And that form, from that is everything emanating, that effulgence, which is spreading all over the universes and innumerable, unlimited universes. And Prabhupada purport also is mentioned that everything is emanating. Along with that, it is my Icha. So there is Karanodakshai Vishnu. From his pouts, unlimited of universes is coming out. And according to that, and each and every universe, the same Lord, Karanodakshai Vishnu, and entered in as a Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And from his navel, and again, that each individual Brahmanda, and from that again, for his own design, and he has becoming the Paramatma, he is seated in each and every atom. First, each and in every universe, and the next, in each and every universe, the same Supreme Personality of a Godhead seated as a Paramatma form. And not only in the human form of body, each and every Andhantarastha Paramanu, each and every atom also the Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing. So from this, His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj was sharing one day in the Bhagavatam that, how can you say that Krishna is saying that Andanta Paramanu Starantarasam? I am there in everyone. How can you think that I am the doer and I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor? Very beautiful example he had given. For example, we wanted to make a table. What we will do? We will bring all the paraphernalia. For example, we wanted the wood, we wanted the nails, we wanted the Fevicol, so on and so forth, whatever it needs. Carpenter gives us the list. We will give it to the carpenter. He will make the stool. And after that, can he say that this stool belongs to me? What he do? After the work is completed, he will bring to the person, the owner of the stool, and he will give it to him. That's what we also did the same thing. We construct the house and everything, it belongs to me. And when we are leaving this body, nobody will can take anything, even a single, that from the story of the Mahamurkha we will see. He asked, can you find out the Murkha? So then I wanted to give everything. He find everything at the end of the story. The person speaks about, I will come with you, and your wife will come with you, somebody will come. No, nobody can come. You're well, nothing. So then at last he will say, I cannot take anything. Oh, I think you are the big Mahamurkha, because you have earned a lot of things, but you are not carrying anything. So there is no more Mahamurkha than you. So likewise, we feel like the same thing we are that. But the carpenter is bringing back. So Maharaj was mentioning that similarly, whatever we are doing the things, they are coming from the Panchamahabhuta. So we are gathering everything and we are constructing very beautiful house, nice bungalow, and so on and so forth, and the landscape and everything. And we will become so much attached. But here the carpenter is not so attached. His service is done, he is gifting to them. Or else for the time being, 7 days, for example, he will give 7 days, it will take time. So he will prepare, he will keep it with him. That is his enjoyment. He will give it back. So likewise, we also has to be in. So from this up to only this chapter, this is what the lesson we can able to learn, because further chapter it describes about how not to do also. Bharat Maharaj will describe us because of performing alone in the yajnas, yajna of course, the same thing in Pulashashrama. So then how it has been deviated from the path of his prayojana. So he been discarded the services and then went for. So but here it is how we should perform, connecting everything in Krishna's service, Yukta Vairagyam. It's not that just give it up. Rather see that the energy of Krishna, and Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the bhokta, it's not me. Like carpenter, how he is making things, giving it to us. Similarly, we also has to be in this world, but not of this world. In this world, sometimes we have to be there for maintaining things and practicing bhakti. Just we have to be detached. So that's what by performing this sadhana. Not so-called externally, we also will get the symptoms of the ecstatic symptoms. So please correct me, Prabhuji, if the verdict is wrong. What are the symptoms in our bodily we will get? When we conduct a program, when we take yatras, and we will get some pattings. So we will get, wow, I am doing it. So my spiritual master said that Kanchan Kamani Pratishta, Puja Labha Pratishta. So they are like ecstatic symptoms for us. Not for all of us. So I am say that my own self I am telling that, oh Prabhuji, today very beautifully you had explained, you very beautifully you are narrated. I didn't do anything, but rather I should feel that Krishna sitting in the Vyasasana as a Paramatma in my heart, so he gives the intelligence to speak. So likewise the thing should be. But rather if I can only be attached to that, oh, everybody is glorifying and so many followers are there for me. So those are also. Rather, Bharat Maharaj is describing that how we should perform our regular sadhana. That's how this Pancharatrika Vidhi describes about why the sadhana bhakti, which gradually elevates to the bhava prema and bhava bhakti. Directly we cannot enter into the bhava because we will become fullest mentality. That's how Srila Prabhupada has mentioned we have to worship Radha and Krishna in the form of Lakshmi Narayana, on reverence. Yes, again, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned to Raghunath Das Goswami, you go and do your prescribed duty. There he mentions about Antare Nishta Bahye Loka Vyavahar. So likewise, when we are worshipping, Prabhuji, how can I see that Radha Krishna, Radha Vrindavan Chandra looking very beautifully as in the Vrindavan farm, you are mentioning, and Prabhupada mentioned that Lakshmi Narayana. Yes, it is just for the on reverence to respect, so that people will follow, give the on reverence and the due respects to each other. Especially in this Kali Yuga, the respect is lacking. So that's why we have to do with on reverence, so that then people will see, then they will also follow the same thing. But keep the Nishta in the heart, that Vrindavan mode. Because one of the lecture recently in a lockdown, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, Bhaktivedanta manner, they have conducted this Navavida Bhakti classes. In one of the classes, Archanam. So in that, the class has been given by His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. So he was mentioning about this. This deity worshipping belongs, according to the Shastra, like Krite Dayatopam Sat Pretayam Yajatomake, Dwapare Paricharyaya. So Dwapare Yug mein to hai Archa Vigraha. But thing is, how come we are doing in this even Kali Yuga also? So that's the same thing. Because in this Kali Yuga, the respect for each living entity has been slackened. In order to enhance that beauty, one has to respect. Because if you can able to see in Madhva Sampradaya, in Sri Sampradaya, in any other Sampradaya, if you can able to see, they will give proper respect to them. They won't take it very casually. So eventually they will see the same Lord according to our philosophy, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we are the soul and Lord is the Paramatma form and He is the Bhagavan. So He is seated in everyone's heart. Again, Prabhupada mentioned, Andantarastha Paramanu as the soul, super soul, He is seated in everyone's heart. So yes, the Lord is seated in this person's heart also. So let me respect to this person, Prabhu. So that's how this enhances the beauty of respecting each and everyone. Again, that reflects to the respect towards to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So likewise, the deity worshipping also is mentioned. So back, Pancharatra Vidhi I mentioned, that is called as Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So Bharat Maharaj also, when the bodily symptoms and everything is coming up, so these are all disturbing my devotional service. So let me practice my sadhana. So that's how he started performing different aspects. Apart, amongst that, this one of the thing is Yajna performance also described, and Surya Bhagavan, how he is worshipping him also. So this I wanted to connect it to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like how it is connected to the further 8th chapter, where when he also developing such kind of some doubts in his mind, that when the deer is coming up, by seeing false compassion which he had shown to on this deer, eventually the slightest wrong track has deviated from his own path of bhakti. Of course, eternally he is a pure devotee of the Lord, but for us, the living entities, conditional souls, for us to teach a lesson how we should not be deviated from even smallest thing also. That is for us a lesson, not for Bharat Maharaj happened like that. So he is becoming just an instrumental in the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So likewise, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us how we should be always under the vigilance of the spiritual master. As I mentioned in the beginning of this class, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, chapter 7, text number 70. And there also he speaks as the sannyasis, Mayavadi sannyasis, then will approach to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they will ask the questions, why do you not associate it with us? Being a sannyasi, actually you are chanting, dancing, and just like a fanatic, just ecstatic symptoms you are showing, which are not the sannyasi's characters, because you are from the disciple of Keshav Bharati, you are taken the initiation from Keshav Bharati, and you are belongs to our Shankara Sampradaya. What we used to do regularly Vedanta Sutra, but you are not doing that also. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu addresses the Prakashananda Saraswati's answer that what can I do? I'm cutting very short because time is very short. So what can I do? My spiritual master considered Ishwar Puri. So my spiritual master considered me as a fool. So you can able to just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So just I am following that Mahamantra. As I am chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which sincerely be following in the footsteps of my spiritual master. What are all those symptoms? What are the measurements? Very beautifully has described in this verse. When the Guru and disciple, the spiritual master Ishwar Puri, when addressed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is telling, yes, whatever the good symptoms are you are getting is very beautiful. So Bharat Maharaj has taken the direct step that, okay, let me practice. So, but here Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, down to that in our Brahma Madhya Gauda Sampradaya, so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is describing that, okay, I am getting very good symptoms, I think I am in the Baba platform. No. Even at the platform, even the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he approached his spiritual master and is inquiring, what are all these symptoms? I'm chanting, tears are filling and loud crying, and I'm shouting, I'm dancing like a madman. What are all these symptoms belongs to? How I can able to understand? Rather, he never felt so joy. Rather, he is approaching the spiritual master to get the clarification. So, spiritual master, Ishwara Puri is telling, there are the 4 qualities and 4 aspects comes when you are chanting the holy name of the Lord as attentive as possible. Number 1, immediately one develops loving ecstasy in heart. Just like when we practice bhakti also, what happens? The verse in the Bhagavatam describes about tusti pusti kshudapahayu. So we'll feel so nourished in our heart and we'll feel so joy. Wow, today I fed my stomach very nicely. So likewise, when we chanting also the holy name, the first and foremost symptom is that one develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. That eventually gives rise to the 4 purusharthas of this material world: religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification and the liberation. One will become disgusted with that. Rather, the Panchama Purushartha, Prema Pumarto Mahan, the love of Godhead, he will hanker for that and he will try to attain for such kind of liberation. And these 4 Purusharthas will become like straw on the street. That looks like a straw on the street.
Further it describes. What else? It induces the transcendental symptoms in one's body. A different kind of the symptoms comes up. That's why he's approaching the spiritual master. So that symptoms will come up. His tears will come, the hairs on the body will erect, and the body will shiver, the vocal will get choked up, and gadgada. And finally, the make one more and more greedy. Just like even our devotees also more and more greedy and chanting on the Ekadashi day, 64 rounds daily if time is permits, more than 32 rounds, irrespective of their particular services. As their years are progressing in Krishna consciousness, our age-wise also increasing, they will depending on more and more and more on Krishna consciousness. So that enhances, make more and more greedy to achieve the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the meaning of the taking the shelter? That's what showing in the service. Service means service attitude. Attitude means doing some physically. It's not that I love my Lord, I love my mom. So we have to do some physical service. So that's what he's showing in. Even Shad Goswami also used to describe about Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipnau. And they used to count, and they have written so many Shastras for us. And they will also chant the holy name, and they will count also. It's not just like, okay, 24 by day I am chanting only. What is the use of just counting? No. Even Haridas Thakur himself used to chant on the beats, 192 rounds, he's counting them. So physically something has to be. So that's what we will show, our more and more attachment to the shelter of Lord Krishna by rendering more and more services. Like how? As we described before, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Parayachiti. So while rendering service also, it is not just disgusted mode. Rather, it will be with rejuvenating, with full enthusiasm, fully hope that I am so fortunate that I am getting today more and more. So I was hearing from His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. So he was telling about the shloka that Krishna, he will preserve what we have, and he will give what we lacking. What is the shloka that? Tesham Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. Yoga Kshemam. जो योग आपका क्षेम जो होता है तो वहामी उधर aham, I am there to uplift. So there Prabhuji was describing that our whatever the things are related to our soul, what are the requirements for the soul to go back to Godhead, such kind of the very Herculean task that Krishna will uplift, or just Krishna will carry. That is called as Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. So that's what. He is not just like a carrying our all the things very, I carry what you have and I will preserve. What is it meaning of his carrying all of our individuals? Not only just for me, everyone. Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. So he's Ananta Koti of the Jivas, he's carrying everything. So he's not with so much load on his, just like we see that at last the person will lift the whole universe with so much, with a tight sum. But Krishna is very jubilant that my devotees, all these things that I have to carry. Such kind of loving devotional service, we have to also carry forward this devotional service. So that's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about his spiritual master. So he described by chanting, yes, you will get such kind of symptoms. So further, there are the two verses, text number 91 and 92, which are very, very important, vital in practicing a devotional service. Just I wanted to focus on these two verses in last 10 minutes. These two verses describes about what is it meaning of pleasing the spiritual master as connected to the services, that mode, how we should do it. It is in the 92 verse and the 91 verse. And the 92 verse, the sum and substance of our ISKCON movement. So after that, what we are supposed to do. That's what Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in that particular verse. Just I recite this verse. Bala hoile paile tumi parama purushartha tomara premete ami hailan kritartha. So this verse is described, speaking by spiritual master. This Ishwarapuri is speaking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What happened? It is very good, my dear child. You have attained that supreme goal, that Prema Pumartha Mahan, that you have attained the love of Godhead. I am very happy. By developing love of Godhead, and you have developing such kind of symptoms. So I am very, very most happy by seeing that. Thus you have pleased me very much. And I am very much obliged to you. So this is the translation. But purport, very beautifully Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that spiritual master can convert even one soul into a perfect pure devotee. His mission is successful. So that's what Srila Ishwarapuri is describing, that I am obliged to you because you got such kind of love of Godhead. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also speaks in the similar fashion, that by selling of all my property in the temples, that everything, if I can able to convert one devotee into a pure devotee, my attempt and my mission is successful. Down to the earth, following in the footsteps of his own spiritual master, his divine grace, Abhay Charan Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada says the same fashion. Even if one person be transformed into a pure devotee of Krishna consciousness, my mission and my attempt to please my spiritual master, my service rendering unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master will be successful. So that's what here it is been described, that's what pleases the spiritual master. In the recent months, when His Holiness Bhakti Tiyaru Swami Maharaj departed from this material world, so there was a clip which derived a lot of inspiration, that he speaks in that. I think he's addressing his own disciples, but nevertheless, it is meant for everyone. In our council meeting, His Grace Sundar Shampur was derived that same principle. It is for everyone. So Maharaj mentioned that, I am pleased when all of you are developing love for God. Not that how many temples you have been constructed, how many money from the donations you brought, how many disciples you made for me, or how many volunteers you have brought, how many projects you are maintaining, and everything. But if only you develop love for Krishna, by doing all this, what does it mean? That's what Bharat Maharaj also is showing. By performing even karmakandic ritualistics also, he's showing his day-to-day, his devotional service is increasing. It's increasing. So that's what it means. By performing again, bringing the donations, making the devotees through the classes, constructing the temples, all that leads us to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, to go back to Godhead, not to drop down in middle. That's what. The statement according to Prabhupada's writings, the spiritual master is not actually happy if the disciple brings him money, but when he sees that a disciple is following the regulative principles and advancing in spiritual life, he is very glad and feels obliged to such an advanced disciple. And the next verse describes about the sum and substance of the, this we got it. The spiritual master is obliged. That's all? No. Prabhupada sent everyone into each and every nook and corner of this entire universe, and he told the will and wish of the Supreme Personality of a God, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The sloka which describes about that, go nook and corner of this country and whole universe, the world, distribute this Krishna Prema. And especially for the person who took the birth in this Bharatavarsha, and especially in this Bharata Bhumi, especially in India, it's more we have the responsibility. The more we are advanced, the more we have a lot of responsibilities. And the advancement depends upon how much we are taking the responsibilities. So the text describes, Nachagao Bhakta Sange Kara Sankirtana Krishna Nama Upadeshe Tara Sarva Jana. The first word describes about, yes, by doing that you are getting such kind of 4 symptoms, and by developing such kind of a Krishna Prema, I am obliged to you. But that is not the end of. He is describing that, nacho, dance, gao, just sing the kirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. Every day in our campus, our devotees are doing Nagar Sankirtan, just in this Nagara only, in the Vrindavan Nagar. So likewise, we can able to do the Sankirtan. And Kara Krishna Sankirtan, do that Krishna ka Sankirtan. And after that, Krishna Nama, what is that? Krishna Nama Upadeshe. Krishna Nama, you have to Upadesh, you have to give that instructions to whom? Tara Sarvajana. Not only here, as our devotees are going here and there throughout the world, and especially during the distribution, we have attained the target of more than 4 lakh and becoming the number 1 in the whole world. So likewise, give this Krishna Nama and Krishna Prema Upadesh to Sarvajana. So this is exactly what Srila Prabhupada has mentioned for us to distribute, just not we are keeping that in our own heart, our heart. So that's what, so even Bharata Maharaj also, when he developed such kind of bodily symptoms, he is showing us an example what we have supposed to do, not just being happy with that, rather we have to perform our prescribed sadhana, following for regulatory principles very strict and seriously, and march forward towards to attain the goal of attaining the Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I wish to request His Grace Vamshivadan Prabhu, just please correct and give some feedback so that I can able to. Does anybody want to give any feedback, any comments? Thank you very much.